was over here yesterday, Joe. I left my coat here.
Okay, I wondered whose coat that was, so I left it on that chair.
Yeah. We'll see you, Joe.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, this is February 11th,
11? Yeah.
1987.
Right.
This is Joe Todd, and interview with Leeds Soatikee,
Soadikee.
and
Yeah.
Carol Soadikee in
Yeah.
Apache, Oklahoma.
I work from Anadarko.
Oh, you're from Anadarko?
Yes.
Okay, and this is your
Yes.
daughter?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So where were you born?
Me?
Yeah.
I was born in Laveen, Arizona,
And when's your birthday?
April 8, 1908. That's on the Pima Indian Reservation.
Ma'am, when's your birthday?
January the 9th, 1942.
1942. Now, you're in Fort Sill Apache?
Yes.
Okay.
And Pima,
And
my daughter.
half and half. Okay. Now, are you pure Pima? Are you full blood?
I'm full blood, yes.
Who is your father?
My father's name was Henry Soadikee.
And your mother?
My mother's name was Martha Randall.
Martha Randall. Were they both born on the Pima Reservation?
Yes.
I'd like to get, if I can, some history about the Pima Indians.
Oh.
Where they came from originally, or any stories you've heard about them
Yeah.
that your parents and grandparents told you?
Yes, well, we come out of with the last, I know my father said that she traced his ancestors down below into the Sonora, just across the line from the Papago Reservation. See, the Papagos are the Pimas are taught the same. They're about the same stock. And so they traced their ancestry right there. They called and then they said Blue Wells, but I think it's named Poza Verde in Spanish. And it's a little town somewhere, the village, I guess you call it, from there on. They traced the four brothers that migrate northward. One went east, the other toward Tucson. Another one came way out here, that's the Pima. Another just stayed right there in that Papago Reservation north of that area there.
Why did they leave? Why did they move out?
That I couldn't really know. That's all I know. That imagine this. I think that's the Spanish, fear of the Spanish. I think right there. You know, because they had wars. See, I think they traced our ancestry with those Aztec Indians that were fighting the Spanish all the time. You know.
Now, is the Pima Reservation around the Phoenix area?
Yeah, right around there. The whole Phoenix area is supposed to be all Pima domain at one time, you know, all the way up to the north. 50 miles or so north of the west of there. But then now it's just below the, extending about 60 miles there southeastward direction along the old Gila River. The course of the old Gila River there, which is not really completely dried out.
Yeah, they built a dam on that or something, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They were there and with the pretense of this, but for the benefit of Pima Indians.
Right.
But everything went around the Casa Grande Valley, you know. Just a little trickle down the line and not enough to irrigate the land. We raised our own things. We built our own irrigation system. At that time we had, well, we couldn't cultivate very much lands at that time, maybe about 5 acres, about the most they ever had, but that was enough to produce crops that they use for, you know, the whole year round and store what they had for the winters and all.
What crops would they raise?
They raised beans, all kinds. That's a lot lima beans, and there's the small beans, and some brown and white beans, and then of course the black-eyed peas, and they're just the little watermelons, pumpkins, all sorts of melons. You know, those what do you call it? The kind that like the type of honeydews, cassavas, cantaloupes. Oh, there's other variety that looks like a big old horns of a cow. You know, and I think they call that what do you call it? I saw them on the market down Safeway one time, and I wanted to get one for the seed, you know, and I didn't. They sell them out there. But that's just part of the variety of things that I could remember, you know. Well, I can't remember.
Was your father a farmer?
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me about the chores you used to do around the house and the farm when you were a boy.
Oh, around the farm? Oh, yeah. Well, we lived in 3 different places that we could go back and forth from. There, we lived first. My father was raised around the Fort Sill Crossing down to that's where the 5 miles further south or west from there, where his father and him were concentrated there. And then we had a land across the Gila River on the south side of there, but the floods of the eroded our earthen dams that diverts our water to those fields, so we had to leave that place. So at that time, the missionaries that at Gila Crossing, which was a Presbyterian minister, and then and they got a hold of some engineer to lay out some land for their congregation. Whoever wants to go down there, further south, northwest of there, in about 5 miles, called the Cooperative Village, operated by the Presbyterian Church, and they laid a canal out there, and that engineer, I don't remember who it is, but that's what I heard, that he surveyed the new canal down that way, you know, and put water in there, and we moved down there. How long back, I don't remember, you know, it's just before my time, I guess, or before by the time I was born somewhere, and it was by the turn of the century again.
How about your cows?
What?
Cows.
Oh, yeah.
Cattle.
Father had a lot of, Father had a lot of cattle roaming around at the range there. We have a common range there along the Gila River bottom. So some of us had cattle there roaming there, and then we round them out sometime for sales, you know, and then that's our main living there, you know, what the little we get besides on the farms for that help out. And we had chickens, we had a milk cow, you know, and all that.
What kind of house did you live in?
What?
What kind of house did you live in on the Pima Reservation?
Oh, it's just a little regular Pima house. It's just the walls are made out of what they call arrowweeds and plastered over with adobe, you know, and then covered with logs on top there, and then sod on top, you know, and that's what where the earthen floor.
How big was the house?
Well, I would say 15 by 20, somewhere around like that. But, it's make it a little long. I couldn't really, but there was enough for us to live in there. We don't have any furniture, hardly just the beds and something to eat on, and we have a few belongings what we have, and you know, and that was enough at that time, you know.
Where did you start to school?
Oh, let's see. I was 8 years old when they put me into the government school. crossing from where we live in Co-op Village to about 5 miles. The wagon came by and hauled us down there for 1 year. And we attended school down in the day school, the one-room house, school building, and we all went. The children were gathered from that village, then hauled down there for the school. That's before they took us to Phoenix in the school, boarding school.
Is it boarding school in Phoenix?
Yeah, that was the boarding school there.
What was the name of it?
Phoenix Indian School.
Phoenix Indian School?
Yeah.
How many years did you go there?
Well, I stayed there most of my life there until I finished school there at 22. But part of that 22 years I spent in the tubercular sanatorium too, you know. And 5 years of that, and then I got all right, and I went back to school, and then I finished in 2 years high school, you know, and then from there I worked there. Then we came to Fort Sill there in 1940 with the National Guard.
When did you join the National Guard?
I was in the National Guards in 1939.
Was the 45th still part, was that part of 4 states at that time?
Yeah, 45th consisted of Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Oklahoma at that time. National Guards.
And which unit were you a member of?
I was with the 158th Infantry, Arizona National Guard.
And they called up the National Guard at what time?
In 1940s when they called us in for federal service. And they all came here to Fort Sill in September 14th, I believe it was, you know.
Tell me about what did you do at Fort Sill at that time?
What's that?
What did you do at Fort Sill at that time?
They finished their training there, you know, and everything else that we had over there. But every week training, well, we concentrated for training into everyday training, you know. And some of the regular Army officers and enlisted officers, you know, came and helped us, you know, conducted the training, and we all, and most of the time we were all together though, you know, because we already knew a lot of things about military life, you know.
Were most of the people in your company from Arizona?
Yes, they were all from Arizona at the beginning with.
Who was your commanding officer of your company?
Well, our commanding officer is a Pima Indian by the name of Stuart Lewis, and he was a civilian life. He was like an instructor of printing there in Phoenix Indian School, and on the side, well, he was a National Guard officer, you know. And then we had some officers from Phoenix that were, you know, lieutenants, you know, composed the rest of the commissioned officers. Us, you know, we were just enlisted personnel.
What was your rank?
I was a sergeant.
Sergeant. How long did you stay at Fort Sill?
We stayed there from September on to February. Exact date I forgot now what it was, but anyway, we transferred from Fort Sill to Abilene, Texas, and southwest of there called Camp Barkley, and that's where we finished our training there, you know.
Did you travel by train when you moved around with the National Guard?
They traveled by train. Yeah, we traveled by train. At that time, when I left Arizona or Phoenix, I wasn't with them. I was in Ohio, Camp Fair, Ohio, there shooting with the Arizona National Guard, the rifle team there from Arizona there, the national matches. And then they asked me if I wanted to go with our unit into regular service. I said yes, and I went along with them from there, and I went back home there, and I got my travel orders later from there, and then rejoined my outfit in about 2 weeks later after I got home.
Did you go to Louisiana?
Louisiana?
Tell me about those.
I just don't remember, but all I remember is that we knew it is that the wooded areas around there, you know, down there close to Alexandria, you know, down in that area. Forgot what they call that place there. Anyway, it's,
Was that at Fort Polk or was it on?
yeah, somewhere around there.
You have any trouble adjusting from Arizona to the swamps in Louisiana?
Oh yeah, yeah. Good. Yeah, that's where I first saw my razorback hogs. You know, there's a lot of them down there roaming around.
Were you in the Red Army or Blue Army down there?
I was with the. I think I was with the Red Army. I'm not sure which it was.
Now, what was the object of the Louisiana Maneuvers?
What?
What was the reason for those Louisiana Maneuvers?
I don't know.
And how long?
They never tell us. I wasn't high up in rank to know, to be aware of what's going on, but only just went along as commanded, you know, and went along and trained.
How long did you stay down there?
Oh, we stayed there just about, we only stayed there about 2 weeks or something like that, you know, when they were with the regular army there, you know.
Did you know General Middleton?
No, I don't know General Middleton.
Was he the one from Arizona? There was one National Guard general from Arizona that was head of the 45th.
I don't remember. I know that General Key was the general
Yeah.
at that time. William S. Key was the general at that time.
After Louisiana, where'd you go?
We went back to home places, you know.
What, Fort Sill?
No, we went back to Arizona.
Oh, back to Arizona. How long did you stay there?
I don't remember that. That was the summer before that, you know, we were mobilized.
And after the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, what'd you do?
I was already out. I was working in a loop field.
Okay, so you were already out then.
Yes.
Okay.
I was in a loop field working.
So you just barely missed it then.
Yeah.
And when did you return to Oklahoma?
In 44.
Okay, why did you move to Oklahoma?
I had a bad case of asthma, you know. The doctor there was also at one time commander of the Arizona National Guard, General Tuthill was a physician there, and he said, you got to get out of the state or whatever you have that bothers you, you know, you're allergic to it, we don't know. So if you're going to live, well, you better get out of there or die. So I had to live there, you know.
So you moved to Oklahoma.
We came, of course, and my wife is from here, you know.
Where'd you meet your wife?
Huh?
Where did you meet your wife?
We went to school together then in Phoenix.
Phoenix. And so you've been in Oklahoma since 44.
Yeah.
Okay, so you missed World War II then.
Yes. I missed World War II,
Okay.
but I was serving there with at the Air Force Base, a civilian, you know, worked there, you know. And then I came back over here, then from there I lived in Lawton, and then I went to Cameron College, and went to working with Fort Sill. And then from there I went to I think the Air Force Base where I retired in 70.
I was going to ask, the Pima language, do you still speak the language, the Pima language?
Well, I got nobody to talk to. I just speak English now, so I've forgotten most of it.
Yeah.
Until I hear. Until I hear somebody speak it, then I know what they're talking about. I can understand them. Just like you understand Spanish, you know, I used to understand the Mexican down there. You know.
The Pima and Papago, you say, are the same stock?
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard the Papago called, is it the River Pima?
We're the river Pimas.
Okay, and the Papago
That was
are...
desert Pima.
Okay.
Desert, all of them they call it.
Yeah, okay.
They call them Don, all of them, you know, and Acumare, all the Acumare is a river in
What's your Pima name? Do you have a?
No, I don't, this is last name, I don't know what it means.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Uh,
my Indian, my father's Indian name. His father's name was Albert White, so I should have been a White if my father took his father's name.
Okay. Ma'am, where were you born?
Phoenix.
You were born in Phoenix. Okay. Oh, that's right. You came in 44. Do you have much of the history of the Fort Sill Apache? Do you?
Much of it?
Yeah. Do you heard stories about the Apache tribe, the Fort Sill Apache? What are some of the stories you've heard?
You're barking at the wrong tree. This one knows more than I do.
He does.
Yeah, he does.
You know about the Fort Sill Apache?
Hell yes, I was with my father-in-law was with Geronimo.
He was.
Yeah, he was an old man, you know, and he's well in his 80s when I came. And once a young boy, he carried ammunition for Geronimo.
What was his name?
Sam Hauser, last name spelled Haozous. Hauser. Sam was his first name.
What did he say about going with Geronimo, carrying ammunition?
Well, he just carried, he didn't do any fighting, but that's all he did was carry ammunition. He was too small, too young, maybe about 10 years old or somewhere around there. When he was,
How did he carry the ammunition?
when he said, I don't know, he just carried it in a bag, he said, and I'm like,
Was it on horseback?
horseback, yeah, horseback.
Now, where were they when he was carrying the ammunition?
All over.
All over?
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
one time there in Mexico, sometime in Arizona, New Mexico, they gone down again, down. When they're in Mexico, they were chased by the Mexican army. They come across out here, the cows, they come out the chase and then back around and hit around. The only place I think they were secure is up there in what they call up there in somewhere near Wilcox, and up that way they call it stronghold, Cochise stronghold they call it.
Did your father-in-law ever talk about Geronimo, what kind of person he was?
Well, he said, yeah, Geronimo was he just a guy that was just like any other fellow. Well, enjoys a good, nice fun. And he's got a sense of humor, really. But he has a sort of a power, like he's a sort of what they call, I don't know, kind of clairvoyant. You can see things coming over there. If the army's coming from this way, you know, I would thought he would go the other way. Sometimes they'd let him come there, but he just around there. Okay, that's why they couldn't catch him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got that kind of, I don't know, the instinct that works in that, well, creatures, you know. They have that thing that they have in those days, and they, without elaborating on things when they're talking to each other, they already know just what it's going to be, you know, and so they waste no words. So that's the way with those in the olden days, you know, and they say he's got the power of, I don't know, he's a magician or some kind of a power. Of course, that's where he got his name, Geronimo, was when he fought those Spanish people that killed all his folks, his wife and 2 children, and his father and mother when they were out hunting. Well, they chased them. The spirit told them to where they were, so he told them to go get some more warriors and to go after them. So when he was out there, and he lost his people there, you know, and then right in there, he stayed there, and there's a hill that close by, he'd go up there, and then he'd mourn his loss that 3 days, 3 or 4 nights. permission to go out and go after them. And then when they eventually fought with them, well, no one of his men was killed, but they killed all the others. The women just kind of completely annihilated them.
How old was Geronimo when his family was killed?
He's a young man, that's all I know. They don't go by the years, they just go by what they
And where were they living at that time when?
Well, this happened there when they were they were somewhere around Arizona somewhere. Maybe around, what they call San Carlos, I guess, if you know where San Carlos is.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that area.
Now is Tucson and the old, now was Geronimo, was he Hickory
No.
Apache? What was he?
Chiricahua.
It's Chiricahua
Yeah.
No,
Apache.
wait a minute, that, what was he, Badonko?
Yeah, well, these Chiricahuas is really from there. See, there was Apache scattered from there, Arizona, into Mexico. And Chiricahua was originally from down in below the border down in there. But they all mixed together. They're all related. San Carlos Apache, White Mountain Apache, that's area Fort Apache, and White River. They're all the same.
No, Fort Sill Apache is what group?
That's the Chiricahua.
That's the Chiricahua Apache.
Jericho and the Warm Springs Apache.
Okay, why are they called the Warm Springs Apache?
These are the Warm Springs that were from right there, and you know where Elton Buttes is in New Mexico. Right down up the hills there's some springs there that's always warm, and that's where this other group lived there. And Geronimo, when he was fleeing from the cavalry, went and hid in the reservation with them right in there. And then so the cavalry took Geronimo, and then they took the other bunch and took them out to Santa Carlos, Arizona. That's for all prisoners, you know. They were after their land. That's what they're after, is the springs and all that. They put nice place there, you know, so they wanted to get them out of that. They were digging for cotton or copper there too, you know, and everything. So, but they were cultivating the little patches of ground there to sustain themselves there, you know, all that time, you know. So, so they liked their place, but they got away from that 1 year. After 1 year, came back here again, and then they stayed there again, and then eventually the soldiers came again and took them back. And then so they stayed, and then they were off just a little village from the main group over there in San Carlos, you know, and they kind of separate groups here and there. The little different villages, they kind of off to each other from each other. And their group was one place, in Geronimo one night came there and encircled them. Said, "You come with us or else." With guns and
That's how they
go.
That's how they captured him?
Yeah.
When was that?
They went to the warpath with them, out there in Mexico and everything, right there. And then they did most of the fighting for Geronimo, because the Geronimo was back behind them with guns. And that's what the Warm Springs were. Then they became, you know, one bunch there with the Warm. That's how the Warm Springs and Chiricahua got together. And what she meant is that was a little bunch, I guess, was called a clan, I believe, that from that bunch that they belonged to. That's why he always say that we're Anadarko, you know, something like that. I don't know.
What year was Geronimo captured?
Let's see. I'm not so sure. I think it's 1886 or somewhere around
86.
there, or 84 or somewhere.
Where did they take the Indians from Arizona?
Well, they came to Wilcox there, or Bowie there. That's the Camp Bowie, they call it there, and the soldiers were camped there. That's a military camp there. From there, they took them to. Seems to me they took I'm not so sure now whether they took them back to Santa Claus, and from Santa Claus they took them to Fort Apache, which is about a few miles, I don't know, about 50 or 60 miles north from there. And then from there one time they were supposed to draw rations, and the cavalry encircled them, disarmed everybody, even those Indian scouts that went after Geronimo with the army, and they were sworn to fight for the government, but they took their rifles away from everything, disarmed them, and they just put them in with the bullets and shipped them to Florida. Took them out, there were wagons to Holbrook north of there, about 60 miles north, and loaded them on cars, the box cars and cattle car, whatever they had available. Took them there to.
Why were they moved east?
Huh?
What was the reason they moved them east to Florida?
I don't know their whole reason, but I think that people there don't want them there, and turn loose there again. On account of they did so much damage with the settlers there, because the settlers moved into their land and they don't want it. They were protecting their territory, but all that encroachment in there, well, they don't want, and that's where the fighting takes place, and they just help themselves with their stock, whatever they had, but they don't want them, so they don't want them around there, so they sent them there. The combatants went to Pensacola, Florida.
Were they in Alabama also?
Well, coming back, yeah. The non-combatants went to St. Augustine, children and women and children, old people. Then they lost so many, died there, for that water, so they brought them back to Mount Vernon Barracks there in Mobile, Alabama. And then from there, they also got those guys from Pensacola. That's Fort Pickens, I think they called it. I don't know what it is, but anyway, that's where they were imprisoned, all those that were fighting. Geronimo and his lieutenants, and that's 4 years.
And how long were they in Alabama?
I don't know exactly know but the things that I really don't know. That I don't know for sure. I can't very well recall what told me, but they really don't know for sure.
Is there any connection at all between like the Pima and the Apache Indians? Is there any?
Oh, yeah.
No.
They were enemies.
They were enemies?
Traditional enemies.
They're traditional.
Except you and your wife.
Yeah,
Mama
I was
forgave him.
captured.
And what's your wife's name?
Kathleen.
Kathleen.
Yeah.
And let me see. Do you have any other stories about the Fort Sill Apache or the Pima or anything that?
No.
Do you have any stories you've heard from?
See, we don't have anything to do with Pima, don't have much to do with these Chiricahuas, because the Chiricahuas are operating from east from Tucson, about 100 miles away from there. They contact us, that goes down there that live around the Tucson. That's where they. But us down that way, we had a different enemy, which is from the north. I forgot what they call those people there.
Ever hear any stories about the warfare between the Pima and the Apache?
Well, no. We call what we call Apaches are not Apaches. They dress like Apaches, but they're not Apaches. They live north of us, and they read into our places in front of the top. And there are what they call I just can't recall what they call them now. They're not Apaches. They don't speak differently. So of course, all the Apache Nation, that the true Apaches start from the living here from east of Globe, you know, San Carlos and Fort Apache and White River and around the places, and eastward down over here to New Mexico, Warren Spring, the Mescaleras in New Mexico, you know, above Alamogordo, you know, in that mountains there.
Now, I've heard the Superstition Mountain. Is that
Yeah.
in the Apache?
Well, they call it Apache here, and I don't think they're Apaches. They're from that group I was telling you about. They're different from those.
Yeah, okay.
And then they could be Apaches coming in from San Carlos, which is quite a ways, but I doubt it. I doubt how that the distance could be covered by this true Apaches to go to the Superstition Mountain.
Okay. Well, I think we have a good interview.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're quite welcome.